Hello and welcome back into the Knicks-Verse. My name is George, and if this is your first time here, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell and the thumbs ups. And also, I want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed already. We are only about 100 or so away from 3,000 subscribers. Incredible. We've almost doubled. I think we have doubled the subs over the summer. Who would have thought that would happen? I didn't think so. But something cool is happening in the Knicks-Verse, in the Knicks world. The family is growing. The family's excited about next season. And there's great reasons. I mean, we have a scary good starting five, which if you haven't seen that video, you should definitely check it out. So drop the link in. And our bench, we are the beasts of the East, as far as I'm concerned. I think we have the best bench in the entire Eastern Conference. Now, there is something else that's happening now. There are two guys that are on the bubble, Kevin Knox and Luca Vildoza. What's going to happen with them? That's going to be the focus of this video. We're going to dive into basically what are the options for Knox, whether we should keep him or not, and the same for Luca. All right, let's begin with our man, Do-Rag Knox. I love it. I love these photos of that they put up of him. Basically, he's working out. He's doing his summer workouts. Some of the things about him is that even Thibs has pointed out that he's a hard worker. He's putting the effort in on during practices and in the summer. I mean, and the guy's always working. That's a good sign. John Calipari, he warned us. He warned the Knicks when we were going to draft him that it would take at least 3 years before we saw anything from him, anything meaningful. Well, we're going into year 4. You know what? Interestingly enough, he is now with Frank gone. Frank is now with the Dallas Mavericks. Kevin Knox is our longest tenured player on the roster. Hard to believe. And yet he is actually, I believe, is he the youngest, or he's definitely one of the very youngest players still on the roster, even though he's been around longer than everybody else. He just turned 22. He's younger than Quickly and Obi, our 2 draft picks from the season ago. So there is some untapped potential in this player, and the question is, can the Knicks get into it? Can they make this syrup flow from this Knox maple tree? Can we get something out of him? Well, I think we can. I think it's possible, especially when you see all the work he's been putting in. I mean, his 3-point shot is for real. I think they have him listed in some sites as 6'7", but he is 6'9". He is definitely 6'9". He's long. He's got a long wingspan. You know, his motor, some of the knocks against him is that his motor doesn't run as high and as hot as coaches wished that they would. He does feel like that a little bit sometimes, and sometimes he gets kind of caught like a deer in the headlights, doesn't react quick enough to the offensive player's first move when he's on the defensive end. So there's definitely obviously some issues with him because, why wouldn't the number, I think he was the 9th pick, why wouldn't the 9th pick or 8th pick, I can't remember exactly, basically he's a lottery pick. Why is he now on the bubble? Especially when he has one supreme skill, which is his 3-point shooting, which we're going to dive into. One thing I want to point out is some of the issues with our depth chart. Here it is. So these are our forwards, and Taj is listed as a forward, but we know he's a center. So really, we are 4 deep because Amir Sims is going to go to Westchester. So we only have 4 for 2 positions, really. Now, for the power forward, all those minutes are going to go to Julius and they're going to go to Obi. Whatever, and then hopefully they will get some court time together, those 2. So when you look at it that way, you're like, wait a second, so who's the small forward that's going to replace RJ? If it's not Knox, who is it? Well, Burks filled that role at times last season. And I believe that Fournier will probably get a look there too, but they're starters. So the other one who could swing over is Quentin Grimes. He has a decent size. He can definitely cover 3 positions well. Some more adequate, some better, like the 2. He can definitely guard the 2. He can definitely guard the 1. The 3 might be a little bit harder for him, but He has that in him. He has that ability, which is why we drafted him, which is why he's so exciting a prospect. But he is a guard. At the end of the day, he's a guard. So we are kind of shallow in the forward pool. So Kevin Knox has a chance if he doesn't get traded before the season begins. The thing is, he's on for, I think, $5.8 million. So that's a lot of money to spend for a player that we're not going to really use. So we got to use him. We got to keep him and use him. That's the one possibility. The other one is trade him. The other thing is, does he go to the G League? That's a question. I feel that I actually don't think the G League is good for Kevin Knox, personally. Let's dive into his stats. So as a rookie, he was a starter. So to go from a starter as a rookie and still work hard as he has throughout the seasons and end up at the G League in his fourth season, players' psyches are fragile. So that may not work out that great for him. So if we keep him, he's on the roster, he doesn't go to G League, just to answer that question. But let's look at his stats. In 2018, when he was a rookie, he played almost 29 minutes a game. He averaged almost 13 points, 12.8, 34.3% from the three-point line. And for that season, that wasn't that terrible. That's actually a pretty decent number. It's over 1 in 3, which is the bare minimum. But he actually well, you can see from the corner, he shot 36.5%. So, he was a decent three-point shooter as a rookie when he was 19 years old. His field goal percentage, 43.8%. Not so sexy. And either is the true shooting, which is the 47.5%. Now, look at his offensive and defensive rating when he was a rookie. 93 offensive rating. So he was out on the court, flying around, doing stuff. I mean, Fizdale was his coach, and he probably could not have had a less effective coach for a rookie than David Fizdale. Which brings me to a big point. Big point. The Knicks have actually let Kevin Knox down. Now, I put a video out that you guys can check it out a long time ago about Kevin Knox when he was actually doing pretty good in the beginning. Because in the beginning of this season, he was contributing, I think, in the first 14 games or so. Mostly because Obi was hurt, Burks was hurt. I think there were a couple other players that were in and out. So he got some floor time. Unfortunately, he kind of went cold at the same time that they were coming back onto the roster. And then from that point on, he was gone. He was basically just a buried deep in the bench, situational player, garbage time mostly. So and then when you think, I didn't put the stats for the 2019 and 2020 season because that was a totally forgotten season for him. Started out again with Fizdale, and we had Marcus Morris, who was the small forward for the team at the time. And Knox was playing behind him. And then coaching changed. Mike Miller came in. And I really was surprised when Mook was traded to the Clippers for that first round pick that ended up getting us quickly. I was surprised that Knox didn't get the start. Now, that's what happens when you have a head coach who's playing for a contract. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of the world of the NBA. It's the reality of life. You always look out for your own interests first. So then, again, Kevin Knox, a lot like Frank, was mishandled. He was not brought along properly. We did not have the proper type of development staff. And it shows with that performance in 2019 and 2020. And it also shows in RJ's performance of that season, that rookie season. He probably would have been. He would have been a better rookie if he had better coaching staff. So now we got it. And the thing is, though, then COVID hit, and there was no summer league, so Knox didn't get his third summer league, and he didn't get his summer league this season either. He ended up getting COVID. I don't know if he got COVID, but for some, I forgot the actual term, but COVID issues, so he wasn't allowed to play in this year. So it's kind of a lot of bad luck for our lottery picks. But when you look at and you dig deeper into the stats from last season, look at the reason I put the offensive and defensive ratings from 2018 to 2019 is because he made a nice, significant improvement from in that area. He went from a 93 offensive rating to a 104 offensive rating. Still low. It's still low for especially someone who is, he's supposed to be an offensive weapon. So it's still low, but look at that. He made a nice 11 points climb there. Then defensive rating. He was a tragic 116. Now, a lot of players, they're up there, but they're effective offensive players. So that kind of helps offset that. Now, his defensive rating went down to a 110. Now, obviously, the lower on the defense, the lower the defensive rating is, the better. And for offense, the inverse is correct. So here we see that he actually was a -6, a net rating of -6 for last season. But for his rookie year, he was a -23. Wow. So the guy's done a nice improvement. He's done a 17-point swing in his ratings. So that shows. It shows that once he puts the work in and he starts learning what the defenses are demanding of him, he can do it. Another thing that I like about him is he's a pretty good passer. That's one thing that kind of gets overlooked. I've seen him do some awesome, court length passes. He feeds Mitch pretty well, which I've seen him do that. And he even had a couple moments with Nerlens when he played with him. So he's a decent passer. He's an engaged defender. He's still weak. I would call him a weak defender, but he can kind of handle the 3 and handle the 4. When he was a rookie and even his second year, he was often asked to guard shooting guards. That's just too high a bar for him. They're too quick. There's just too much going on in their game. He couldn't keep up with them. But small forwards and power forwards, that's where his bread should be buttered. He actually should be a power forward. That's what he'll eventually be as he gets even bigger and stronger. I could see him being a nice, effective contributor in a rotation as a power forward, but with his sweet shot. Now, it's a high arcing 3-point shot. So when it goes in, it's like a beautiful swish. When it doesn't, it clanks and it looks disturbing. Similar situation with Obi. For some reason, they have kind of a similar approach to 3-point shooting. But Knox is a deadly weapon from where? The corner. Corner Kev. Look at him. 2020 and 2021, 52.4% from the corner. Ooh, that's a sweet, sweet number. And then when you look at his field goal percentage, it climbed up to 51.4%. That's a nice climb, almost 8%. And his true shooting, 47.5%. It went up to 53.7%, which is closer to the medium. His overall 3-point shooting was 39.3%, almost 40%. I really think we should do everything possible to hold on to Kevin Knox. Just from the standpoint that I think it looks bad on an organization that can't take their blue chip lottery, their lottery picks, and turn them into contributing players on their own squad. Doesn't look good. So it doesn't look good in the future. It doesn't look good from players that are kind of looking to come to a team that can really unlock them. Now we know that the Knicks can, because we saw what happened with Julius. We saw what happened with RJ. They've done an excellent job in working with certain players. But Knox fell through the cracks. He needs a shot. He needs a chance. I am in favor of holding on to Knox for the season, even at the $5.8 million. And I will tell you why. Because he is an undervalued asset right now. If we were to bring him on, I do think that there's going to be chances for him to get some minutes, because, like I said before, even though it's made some people laugh, I think that we're going to have some more blowouts. Now, with blowouts, usually, except for in the Thibs world, but I do think Thibs is going to evolve, usually that means more garbage time. So in that garbage time, he can start proving himself to be the weapon that we've seen glimpses of. So let's go for that. All right, the next guy that we want to talk about, Mr. Vildoza. Luca Vildoza, the Argentine point guard, combo guard that the Knicks signed late last season for a 4-year, $13.6 million. The first year, he actually got paid already for last season. He was paid for the 2020-2021 season for whatever weeks he was with the team. And the next 3 years are non-guaranteed. So there is some flexibility with him. Now, the problem with him is, here's a couple problems. Let's look at here's the roster. We're deep at the guards position. We're really deep at the guards position, especially because of the draft picks, Miles McBride and Quentin Grimes. Those two I've already, in the Beasts of the East's bench video, I said that I do believe that they will get some floor time. How much? That's TBD, but they will. So Luca is competing with Dwayne Bacon for the last guard spot on the roster. Dwayne Bacon is the same age as Luca, 26 years old. However, Dwayne Bacon is a lifelong 115 defensive rating player. Yeah, his whole career. He's not a good defender. And I actually want to ask the question, what's he doing on this roster? Doesn't seem to be a Thibs guy. I don't know how he got on here. Possibly Scott Perry once again with his fascination for Magic players. I believe they were there at the same time. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm just trying to make some kind of sense as to why he's even around. Now, here's something. Luca, let's jump to this thing here. So Luca, here's a tweet put out by Sports Vibes TV. Our man Keese. Luca Vildoza will be returning to New York on Thursday. He's been in Madrid getting treatment on his foot injury. Hearing there's some concern within Luca's camp that the injury isn't fully healed. Now, what is it that's happening with his foot? Well, apparently there is some fluid in the back of his right foot. He had it in Summer League, which is why he was not effective in Summer League. Yeah. So we're thinking, all right, that explains why Bacon is around, because we're not sure if Luca's going to even be able to play. The Knicks medical staff is going to evaluate him, and if they give him the green light, then he'll go and he'll compete with Bacon for that last spot. If he does get the green light, I expect him to get the spot. So I actually think he is going to make the roster, even though it didn't look like that for a while. But now as you look at what's left over, he is actually a nice insurance policy to keep on the roster. And also they got him on a really good deal. And he actually has a lot of experience. He's a dynamic passer. He's a much better defender than we've been led on to believe. He's defensive minded. He's good on ball. Last season he averaged 1.6 steals. 1.6 steals in only 23 and a half minutes. Shooting the lanes, getting those steals, doing behind the back passes. Kind of a little tiny bit of white chocolate in him, Maybe we'll call him the milk chocolate. I don't know. The leche. Chocolate de leche. Yeah, I like him. I think he could be an interesting person. He's got a decent handle. He gets to the rim and he can finish, which is nice. Whether he can actually do that against full-on NBA players, that's still TBD. So that's what training camp's going to be all about. His Olympics wasn't that great, and basically he was playing. He came here towards the end of the season. He was playing for Baskonia, and then in Spain, and then he came towards the end of the season. He was kind of working out. There was even a thought that he might even get some time with the playoff squad, the Knicks playoff squad. That never materialized. But then he went to go play with Argentina for the Olympics. He must have tweaked his ankle at some point during that period. He didn't want to totally admit it because he didn't want to miss out on the opportunity. He came here and he just was not effective at all in Summer League. You can see he was hampered by that injury. And then he made this interview. He had this press conference, and I believe that people kind of misunderstood what he was actually trying to say. And one of the reasons is because he might be honest. That's the thing. A lot of players, and we all do it, we kind of try to massage what we say. Now, that's easier to do when you have a full command of the language. Now, he doesn't. He barely speaks English. Decent enough to have a little bit of a conversation, but nuances, they get thrown out the window. And he basically made it seem like he's not that good a defender, that they didn't play that well. He's disappointed. There was a lot of negativity in his interview, and I think that kind of got blown out of proportion. The guy's been a pro for about 5 seasons. I mean, the scouts obviously really loved him, and the Knicks weren't the only ones interested in him. So there's a lot here to be excited about with Luca Vildoza. If for some reason he's not quite ready, but let's say he's cleared to practice, but he's not truly 100%, but he shows something in his game, and the Knicks staff, the coaching staff, like what he's got. He's still eligible. He's still two-way contract eligible. So it's possible he could go to the G League. Now, for him, even though he's played 5 seasons in Spain, I think they're all in Spain, I don't think it's such a bad idea for him to go to the G League. Because this is the kind of guy that if he shows anything in his game, he's going to end up in the NBA. So in this case, it might just be perfect for him. And then it'll give him some time to acclimate himself, learn the plays. It might be a win-win situation. But either way, I think he has a good chance of making the squad. Yes. And here, let's look at Kevin Knox again. It just stopped. Oh, there it is. Come on, Kev. Sink it. There you go. There we go. Now, you can see he's shooting pretty far back. I'd say now it's probably about 2.5 feet behind the NBA three-point line. Because that three-point line, that's the college one there. I think that's college, yeah. So, Kevin Knox, come on. Bring us. I want to see Kev thrive in New York. I just have a soft spot for our draft picks. I have a soft spot for anyone who plays on the Knicks, who loves the city and is committed to being the best player that they can be. I wasn't always sure Knox was that kind of guy. There's been complaints about him, playing Fortnite too much and whatnot. But that's definitely not the guy that we saw last season. And he could be somebody interesting to keep around. He's only 22. And he could end up becoming a nice asset that we can trade later on if he's given any opportunity to continue to develop. All right. Well, thank you for watching this. And once again, thank you to all my subscribers for getting us so close to 3,000. And I would appreciate if we got a final boost from the rest of you. All righty. Well, drop your comments. I want to hear your thoughts on these 2 players. And I will see you guys around.